Hi there. Welcome to the Luxe Leap, a podcast that is all for women consultants who are here to share their journeys and stories with you and talk about the big leaps, the bold moves that they did to make their brands extraordinary. I am so excited to introduce you to today's guest. Her name is Mikel. She is the founder and fractional COO at Adroitly and Co. And she has an incredible journey to share on what it took to start this all the way to the big leaps that she's going to make this year and beyond. So welcome, Mikel. So excited to have you.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here and have this conversation.
Well, let's just dive straight in.
Yeah.
Why don't you share with us what inspired you to start your brand and give us a brief overview of the journey to get here today?
Yeah. So I like to call myself an accidental entrepreneur because my journey has maybe not been the most direct route. But this is actually my second company that I've owned. And I really learned from what I didn't want to do and what I was like designed to do, like how you naturally tick. So backtrack a little bit. My first business was a printing company for homeschool and like cookbooks, like digital PDF resources. They're all out there. And I went to order something for my son, and it took 16 weeks to get to me. And I thought, we have to be able to do better than this. I had forgot I had ordered it. So I convinced my husband, let's buy a printer and throw a website up and see what happens. And we had partners with like influencers creating digital workbooks. And I learned I loved owning business. I loved business development, and I hated printing. Like absolutely hated printing. So we actually sold that, and I kind of stayed on in this operations role, which really got my wheels turning. How can I do this for other businesses? Because that's what I'm passionate about. I'm passionate about small business owners and designing a business that is in accordance to what they define as success. And so now we have Adroitly and Co, and that's what I get to do every day. It's super fun, and I realize a lot of other business owners and entrepreneurs don't necessarily think that way. They got into it for the genius of what they love to do, and they actually hate running a business. I'm the opposite. I love running the business, and I don't want to do the other things.
Oh my gosh, I love that. I
Yeah.
actually am very similar. Uh, Gray Digital started out as a social media company, and it
Yeah.
turned out that I actually hated doing people's social media.
Right.
Um, no matter how good I am at it, like I hated it.
Yeah.
And it was all because nobody had their brand set up. And so I would always end up like having to redo their brands and realize I love the brand piece of this. I literally cannot stand
Yeah.
doing
I
people.
mean, sometimes you have to know what your no is before you know what your yes is.
Exactly. Actually, that is a quote in and of itself is you need to know what your no is. All right, everybody. Like if you're got a
Know
notebook
your
out,
no.
down. That is the quote of the year. Might be the title of this podcast when it's all said and done, but we'll find
There
out.
we go.
So, um, as you went through that journey and you discovered like actually being a COO is pretty badass and really cool, what was it like signing your first champagne clientele? That dream client who not only paid your prices, but was a dream to work with once you
Right.
found out what you loved.
Yeah, I mean, it felt bold to to step out and say, I'm a fractional COO because although I'm naturally wired that way, you go into that mindset of, wait, am I good enough? Am I bringing value? But everybody I was working with was saying yes, and I was the last one to believe it. You know what I mean? Like, how come everyone else is telling me you're so good at this and do more? You're bringing such value to me. So I would say my first client was actually an up level with somebody I was working with who really saw good things in me and empowered me to go out and step into marketing myself to bigger and better things. And I think it's okay to see what's in your network right now. Who are you already serving that sees your value? That might be your first champagne client.
That's, you know what? It's honestly so true. I have this freebie actually for folks that's like how to get your first Lux clientele, and it's how to attract and make close them. Because it's not sitting in front of me right now, so I can't articulate this because I'm so in your story that I'm like, yeah, tell me more. But that freebie is literally designed to say, like, look at your list and find your first 25 people that you can
Yeah.
reach out to and ask. Because my first person was in my network. your
Right.
first person was in your network. Like they know you, they want to help you. And I think sometimes we always try to look for strangers, and strangers sometimes aren't always the answer. It isn't
Right.
the instance of me and you being on this podcast, funny enough, but like that's kind of rare.
Right.
And you have it. Like that is what you have to do, is you have to go find somebody who supports you and wants to make that grow.
Absolutely. And I think, it might be that they're your next client or they might be best friends with your next client. Like referrals are the gold standard. It's so much easier to land a yes from a referral than anything you're going to put out there in the marketing world, in the, LinkedIn world, in wherever you're marketing. Um, Somebody who says, "Hey, have you met such and such?" You're so much more likely to land it and really give good results because that person's familiar with your need and their need.
Yes. And it's a beautiful thing, because a lot of times when I'm telling people about brand, I'm like, yeah, this is how you go get people, or the first people, but you do have to post, says the woman
Yeah,
who hates social media, not because that's going to be the magical way you get a new client, but for when somebody does refer you, they can look at your stuff and be like, see, she is an expert. Like she said it
right.
right here. Like, here's an example of why she does what she does. Does that mean we want you chained to your computer posting on LinkedIn and Instagram every day? No. No.
No. Do what you're good at.
Yes. And the rest will follow. So looking, me and you have chatted a lot offline about how the military, specifically the Marine Corps, has shaped both of our lives in different ways. You as
Yes.
a mom and a wife, me as a daughter, sister, cousin, auntie, insert all family member types here.
Right.
But kind of looking at that, how have your personal values influenced your brand? Because for me personally, I feel like the Marine Corps has very much ingrained my values in me, but I'd love to hear how your personal values and or if that has shaped it and influenced your brand
Yeah,
as.
absolutely. I mean, as you know, the Marine Corps is a family, or the military is a family. So my values within that role has been, show up who you are authentically yourself wherever you're planted and bloom wherever you're planted. You don't have to have, the perfect environment to make great things, produce good things, put things that are fantastic out into the world. You know, the Marine Corps is always talking about how flexible we need to be because when you think you're going one place, you're going somewhere else. When you think you're going on vacation, your husband's leaving. You never know what that story or journey is going to be. And I could tell you some stories, but that has taught me a lot about business. I think being a military wife and being a mom of four in this military life has really prepared me well for being an entrepreneur of whenever you think you have it figured out, it's gonna change. And just
That
being
is so.
like true to yourself through the changes, it's a journey. We can either be miserable through it and complain about all the ups and downs of entrepreneur life. I could complain about the ups and downs of military life, or I can say, awesome, like look at these people I've met along the way, through entrepreneurship. I'm, here sitting with a stranger who's now a friend. And I realize we have entrepreneurial stories to share. We have Marine Corps stories to share. And I have a friend, wherever I go.
And I'm so glad to be your friend now, because it's fun. I mean, we are
Great.
literally, if you are not watching this, everyone, you're listening, the two of us are on completely different time zones. One is on
Oh,
the East
yes.
Coast, the other's on the West Coast. And it was hapstance. I just asked her and she was like, yeah, I'll do it. And so you
And it's
you
been
never
fun, It was hard to push record because we were having so much fun chatting.
that is so true. The two of us were like, oh wait, like we actually have to do this. So
Right.
um it's a beautiful thing being able to just accept the journey and understand, like, yeah, you're gonna have lows.
Mhm.
It's happening, it's inevitable, but it makes the highs so much more worth it, and it makes the scary things so worth it. And you
Absolutely.
never know who you'll meet. You never know.
Right. And at the end of the day, like that's what it's about. It's about relationships, right? So I think that's true in every area of my life. And I hope that comes out in my business relationships and people see that about me. At the end of the day, I care about the people I work with because they're human and they're building something great. Like we all have this great motivation behind us. No one comes into this journey to like I just want to be rich, right? They're passionate about something and they want to, usually it's legacy or an impact that impacted them in some way, and they want to pay it forward. And I love that about small business owners. I love getting to know the people behind the business.
It's truly beautiful. And being able to help them. I mean, me and you are helping them on two different levels, right? Like
Right.
you're helping them get those operations, those elements going that make the business run. I'm out here making sure the message is super clear, that, you know, at all of our message touch points, it brings them in so they can be a part of really strong operations. And
Exactly.
we can only do that if we know your story and can amplify it. So
Right.
it's
Well,
really
we can
important.
only do it well
That's true. We
if
could
we know
do
your
it.
story. We could do it, but we can only do it well in a way that's honoring to you as a business owner and your business by getting to know you.
It's so true. And um so important in those ways. So I got another question for you.
Yeah, hit me.
When you hit me, made me think of a song. One of these days, I'm going to have a whole playlist of all the songs that come out when I'm talking to people. But when you started out outside of
Yes.
Raylan's playlist, what glass ceilings were you aiming to shatter with your brand messaging in your industry?
Ooh, good question. I think for me, it was about building a business as a military spouse doesn't necessarily like coincide. That is not something you hear about. And how many women business owners are out there doing great things? Um, Women business owners within the military affiliated community is even smaller. So showing my people, whoever that comes in my orbit, that I can do this. I can be a great business owner and a great wife and a great mom. And my goal and hope is twofold. One, I hope to be able to afford my husband when he retires. That is my long-term goal. I am going to afford him and I'm going to be the one to hire him. So there's that. But along the way, part of my journey is I want to hire military spouses and empower them to be present in their community, passionate about their career, and empower them where they're at. Because it's hard to pick up and start a career every 3 years. You end up having jobs that you're not passionate about. It's just filling that gap. So I think for me, that's the personal side of it, is building truly careers that you're passionate about while being, a part of this community that matters.
And that is so beautiful, because you're right. Like, as a little girl, I don't think I knew a single person who was a woman who owned their business. I mean, granted, it was the
Yep.
90s and we had
A
just
little
got
different.
the credit, like
We also have like the whole internet and Zoom, so it does make it a little easier for me to do this. But,
it's true. And
and,
that in that case, it wasn't virtual. Like
yeah,
AOL
I don't
dial-up.
know how they would have done it. Like, I really don't know. So hats off to that generation of mom and military spouses. But like Facebook groups is how I find out all the things about where I'm going to move. What did we do before that?
I honestly, I was always just like, oh, I got a new friend. Like, I have to go make
Yeah,
new friends.
right,
Um, it was, yeah. If there were women doing business, it was like Mary Kay.
right,
Not to knock Mary Kay. I mean, like, women
right.
have money, but
Different time, different
different
needs and goals.
ways. Because you're right. Like, now you could keep your clients. Like, you could move
Right.
tomorrow
Yeah,
and keep your clients because of the tools we have today. And
absolutely. My closest client right now lives about 6 hours away from me. So it really doesn't matter where I live because it doesn't change our, dynamic.
no, not at all. And that's a beautiful, beautiful thing. Gosh, yeah. Most of the moms I knew were stay-at-home moms, or they worked on
Right.
base doing things. Like my mom's
Exactly. Yes. And that's very common still. We see a lot of healthcare, a lot of teachers in those industries, which is fantastic. And those are industries that are easier to move, but that's not my skill set. This is, and I love that I get to interact with military spouses and the community around us.
that is seriously so beautiful. And I'm really grateful that you're giving the space for those women so they too can support their family. And I am
Yeah.
cheering you on to
Thanks.
afford your husband. Okay.
Yeah. Like, stay tuned, but that's the goal. I'm like, you're not going to need to look for a job. I'm going to hire you.
That is so incredible and so
That's the
beautiful.
goal.
I always tell Teal I'm going to retire him so we could go travel Europe all the time.
Yes,
Uh,
exactly.
so here's to women who are retiring and hiring our significant
Right.
others.
Exactly. There's worse goals in the world.
Yeah, there are worse goals. So let's look to the future.
Yeah.
once we've hired them, retired them, whatever tire we're doing to them, um, what future developments are you most excited about for your brand? What are you
So
looking
I
forward
think it's that sustainable growth. I'm in this for the long haul. It's not about a quick win. So the COO in me is a forecaster, right? Like I want to be strategic about the next step. I am not one to like quick run into the next thing. It's very methodical. So kind of going back to what you said in the beginning, knowing my no's and only saying yes, what is truly in alignment with our brand, our core values, and where we're going, because we're here for the long haul. Like, we're not going to go anywhere, serving our clients well and just sustainably growing. So for me, that looks like being able to hire military spouses and maybe military that are also retiring and want flexibility. I don't, who knows what that looks like, but that's the path that I want to go on, is being sure of my no's and knowing what those boundaries are, so that when you're working with me, whether a client or part of the team, you know exactly what you're getting and you become part of the family.
I love that. It makes me want to work with you. I'm like, let's work
Come
together.
on over. Let's do things. Let's
Let's
collaborate.
uh, and so as we look to the future and we really start to say, like, what are the no's?
Yeah.
Um, what's a recent decision that will influence the future of your brand? Whether you had to say you said yes to something or no to something.
Yeah, I think this is the year of no for me, which sounds weird, right? But we have to say no for our best yes to come out. So just getting super clear on who I serve and how I serve and not needing to serve everybody. I want to fulfill the needs of, the business owners who knock on my door that have a need. Like, I really need help with operations. I'm going to really evaluate. And if I'm not the best fit for you, the answer is going to be no. It's going to be a loving no, or, hey, have you met this other person and connect? But I want to serve well, and really build that reputation of, when you come to my team, it is the best fit, or I'm going to introduce you to somebody who is.
That is beautiful. And I want all of you to know that she almost told me no. Um, and it was the kindest thing ever, because
It
she
was a
literally
series of questions.
it was a series of questions. She was like, so tell me more, because I need to make sure it's in alignment. I was like, all right, well, I don't have a podcast episode for you to listen to, but here is the description. Like, let me know. And then she's like,
Yeah,
yep, I'll book with you. And I was like, okay, cool.
awesome.
So,
I know. And then we had
um,
a great conversation, and I was like, of course, this is perfect alignment. I want to be a part of it.
so it was beautiful. We went from strangers to friends and
Yeah.
very few
With so
conversations.
many things in common and in between. It was fantastic.
It's wild. It's wild. Her husband, y'all, and my brother are actually stationed at the same place. And
Yes.
so we were like, oh, and they of course wanted to know about each other. And we're like, yeah, you weren't the most
Right.
important thing. We are. So
Yes. I know. We were like, well, we just mentioned that it was the same location, and then we moved on to us.
like
Which,
lady first.
speaking of, if you hear loud booms in the background, we call that lovingly the sound of freedom where we live, aka artillery and military training. So if that is in the background of this, no, it is the sound of freedom, and
Not
everything is good and safe.
everything is going well.
That's what
I
happens when you live within a couple miles of a military base.
That's so true. I remember being so just like, yeah,
Yes.
this is
Yeah.
happening, like whatever.
It becomes background noise, but I realized there were a couple big booms during this. So if it's there, sounds of freedom, y'all.
Sounds of freedom. And to be real with you, I guess I still am trained to not notice. So
There you
there you
go.
go.
Perfect.
Uh,
Hey, once part of the Marine Corps, you're always a part of the Marine Corps.
always a part of it. Like, it took a long time for me to learn that civilian world, you don't just stop your car at 5 o'clock and get out for colors. Like,
Oh, yes.
the world is very different. When my
Wait,
parents
you're going to have to
separated,
explain what colors are. Most people probably aren't going to know what that
that's
is.
right. That is where they take down the flag at the end of the day, everyone, and
Yes.
they usually play the bugle of one of our lovely American songs. I actually cannot remember which one. I just can hear it in my head.
Oh, yeah.
You have to stand at attention and you have to wait until it is over and then you can move.
The
Um,
whole base stops. I have one of the most beautiful pictures of my children playing outside. There's probably 25 kids, and literally every age it comes on, they stop their football game of all these ages. They turn to where the flag is. It really is. It's beautiful. It's silly and sometimes annoying at the end of the day. Like you're just trying to get home. But there was this moment that I pulled out my phone and took a picture of all these military kids. Just, oh my goodness, like what beautiful honoring of, this tradition.
and just the manners that come with children
Mhm.
and in the military are so beautiful. I remember 3rd grade. My parents were officially divorced. I lived in a completely different state. And I remember kids not calling folks Mr. and Mrs. and being like, you 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 called that adult just by their
Mhm.
first name, Katie? Like you can't do that.
Well, you
So
should do that. It's against the
it's
rules.
it is so against the rules.
And in the
Like
Marine
so
Corps, you go from Mr. and Mrs. and then you become family because that's what we do. And then you're auntie and uncle, like before you know it.
before you know it.
Yes,
Before you know it. And then
it's a beautiful journey.
it's just so it's such a peaceful life, even though, our family members are protecting us and like that is their job and their core space. So we can have this podcast, we can have these businesses.
Right.
Um, but living as a kid in that setting is more peaceful than it is actually on the other side. And so I'm so grateful to you, especially because it is not easy. I watched my mom do it. It is not easy being you, and we
Well,
should
I'm
respect
thankful to be on this
that.
journey. So,
And really grateful to your husband, my brother, my dad,
yeah,
all of our family members who are a part of it for serving our country and the fact that we get to have those freedoms and the
absolutely.
right to complain about them too. So,
Right. We do. We get to do that too. There's a lot of fun jokes, but it's about the journey. And at the end of the day, it's all good.
just a beautiful thing. So, last question for you. I can't
Yes.
believe we're at time. This was way too fast. I could do
I
this
know.
forever. Actually, 2 questions for you. Just
Okay.
kidding. Just kidding.
Got
Um,
this.
Second to last question. What does a day of living a luxurious life look like for you?
Ooh, okay. I love to have a balance. I'm a person who definitely, let's see, weaves in margin. So my day of luxury is a slow morning, serving clients in the morning and just really leaning into that time. I love collaborating with people. So some kind of a video call because I need to connect with my people. Probably, doing some deep work, but I wear a lot of hats. So, I wear a military spouse hat and the fractional COO hat. I'm also a homeschool mom. So my afternoons are, I'm educating my children and, I love doing that. I'm learning new things every day. And that's a big part of who I am and my story. And I love doing that. So my luxury is my everyday life, like just a good rhythm um, to my day, and getting to do all those things is like really truly an honor to me. So
Oh my gosh, that is beautiful. I didn't know you were homeschooling your babies. That's
yes,
wild
yeah,
and
I'm a
incredible.
COO teacher and principal.
It's incredible. You are a rock star. So last one, best one.
Yes.
In one word, what is your primary motivation in business?
Legacy.
I love it. Why legacy?
Legacy. I'm doing it for them, for my children. I want them to know, like, I call myself the accidental entrepreneur, but I'm accidentally exactly where I'm supposed to be. They're a part of this journey, and I want to empower them no matter what your life looks like. You can do the accidental things that bring you joy.
That's wonderful. Well, thank you for being here, for being such an incredible
Yes.
mom, guest. I'm really grateful to have you here and um, let everybody know where they can connect with you. So,
Yes.
you know, if somebody needs your services, they can work with you.
Absolutely. Yeah, come and connect with me. Instagram, LinkedIn. So if you want to see the COO insights, go to LinkedIn. If you want to see what COO mom homeschool life, go to Instagram. I share a little more of the personal behind the scenes, what that looks like, and a little glimpse into our military life is shown there too.
I love it. I will put that in the show notes for everyone, and you can connect with Mikel. Again, thank you so much for being here, for being so open,
Yes, thank
honest.
you for having me.
You're so welcome. And until next time, everyone, we'll have another person here to talk about their Luxe Leap and how they took bold moves to get to where they are today.